I wanted to talk to you today about my favorite gun season setup. And a lot of people, especially my clients, are really into hunting. They're hardcore hunters, passionate about it. And a lot of times that relates to bow hunting. People want to use their property and hunt the entire season. And maybe some of you out there even hunt public land, and you're a tried and true hardcore bow hunter who hunts the entire season. But when it comes to gun season, one of the things I love is if you add these ingredients together and you go in for the perfect gun season setup, then like us out here, I love bow hunting. I mean, an example of that, I shot one of my bucks, third day of Minnesota gun season. I chose to take my bow out to the stand and I shot my buck with a bow. And so I'll even take my gun out, or my bow during gun season out to hunt, even though I can get a gun tag or have a gun tag. I do have a gun tag. The bottom line is, the setup that I like to use is accounted for many, many bucks, a lot of older bucks, 4 to 5, 6 years old. Last year, shot a beautiful buck with this type of setup, 100 and some yards with the muzzleloader. Year before, 250 yards with the muzzleloader. These setups work, and I've been using them for decades. And what it's all about, there's a few conditions. Number one, you have to get in and out of your blind or tree stand without ever spooking deer. So in this case right here, we have brush in the back and then it drops downhill. We have switchgrass along this whole border. We have corn right here, and then we have a hidden food source back here. Might be on public land that you're sneaking into the edge of a clear cut. Clear cut that's growing, has good regeneration. Bucks are coming to it, deer coming to it in general. And you can get off to the side, you can come in, you can come from behind a hill, you can come from behind a conifer thicket, a wall, grass, ditch system, whatever it might be, but you can get in and out without spooking deer. That is critical. A lot of people will put a redneck blind like this right out in the middle of that food plot, and that is a giant no-no because we actually have hunting pressure around here. That hunting pressure means deer get used to that. They don't like it. They don't like those big boxes, so we're off the side over here. So it's very critical that you can get in and out without spooking deer. This is an afternoon setup. Now we can actually get in here in this situation and hunt without spooking deer. A lot of our redneck blind setups, we hunt mostly tree stands, but when it comes to gun season and some of our bow, we have setups, especially bad weather like opening day in Minnesota this year. It rained hard all day. We can get in the morning and hunt because we have the corn, the switchgrass, the cover, the brush, whatever we're accessing behind cedars, we can get in and out without spooking deer. So the access is critical. You have to get in and out. It doesn't matter if it's bow season, gun season, but especially this kind of setup where you're watching this afternoon food source, you're expecting deer to come to it. I call it the bottom of the funnel of daylight movement. What that means is there's multiple bedding areas, but those deer are all coming to this one food source. It might be that we have another food source a half mile that way, quarter mile that way, and we have other funnels of deer that go to those in the afternoon. But we have the setup, we have the food, we're getting in and out without spooking it. You guys, I normally don't do this, you might get sick of this, but HuntWise and the HuntCast feature that talk about when to hunt all these great weather options in HuntCast is 25% off. The link is in my description. Please, guys, go check it out. Really hope you can take advantage of this. Second condition, we have unpressured bedding area back there. We're coming into a spot where I call it 180 degrees. Here it happens to be a lot more because this way, and that way, we have not spooked in any way. So more than 180 degrees out in front of us for 300 yards or more, we have not been into, and in some cases 500 yards over that way. There's a house about 350 yards, 400 yards this way. But we can come into this spot, and we have a lot of untouched habitat out there where we don't know what's out there. And that's the beauty of a setup like this. When everyone else is pushing and shooting, we just had shots across the road over here that sounded pretty close, maybe 300 yards away. Bottom line is we have people shooting, they're shooting does, they're moving around a lot, they're driving their ATVs, and deer will get pressured into these unpressured food sources. And let's face it, most people are overpressuring their land. We're not. So, number one, good access in and out. We're not spooking deer. In this case, we could even hunt a morning setup here, but I love these afternoons. Right now, we're in the middle of a 30-degree temperature drop. Literally, it's 67 this morning. It's supposed to be 50 by the close of dark tonight, could be even in the 40s. And then tomorrow morning when Dylan and I go out and bow hunt in Wisconsin, we'll use the gun tonight, the muzzleloader, and then we'll go bow hunt tomorrow. It's supposed to be around 29 degrees. So you think about it, we're actually right around 38-degree temperature drop, which is incredible. So we're hunting a little bit of wind up here, hunting that temperature drop. And that's the third ingredient. So one, we have the access coming in and out. Two, we have this setup where we have good bedding out there. We're not pushing into it. We have good browse out there, stem count in the bedding, meaning that bucks, does in general, deer, can have that enough browse to satisfy their urges of 2 feedings during the day. That's usually early morning, late morning. And then we have a big food source for watching, whether it was a food plot here or that high stem count, hardwood regeneration, clear cut somewhere else. And then number 3, we have that weather pattern that's coming in. So we're setting the table with good access, good food we're watching, unpressured bedding, we're coming off to the edge, and then we're hunting a good weather front right here. Now, yesterday was still in the 60s at night, so when we can come out here, it's going to be close to 20 degrees different than it was last night at the same time, and then tomorrow morning will be even better. We're choosing to hunt a morning stand for the rut over in Wisconsin with a bow. The bottom line is, this is the setup. We have the access, we have the food and cover set up, and we're unpressured. We're not pressuring that. We can come in under 80 degrees of movement. And then finally, we have this weather pattern. And that weather pattern is key. I don't like someone, and I've hit this a few times lately because I want to explain this. All the scientific studies are on big movement, wilderness, big woods, commercial forestry, federal land, state land. And that's very deceiving to you as a small land hunter, and even a lot of public land, because deer get fragmented along with the parcels. So when parcels are smaller, when they're fragmented, deer move a lot less during the daylight. They don't exhibit those 3-mile home ranges during the daylight like they do in some of these study areas, or big fenced-in captive herds. That doesn't apply to where you hunt, or 99% of all the other hunters hunt. So what I'm saying is that when you have these small little areas set up, and you have good weather patterns, deer choose to move during the daylight a little bit earlier. They're going to move instead of waiting until after dark. And so what ends up happening is, a buck might still move 200 yards from his bedding to a food source, or 300 yards, but he's going to choose to do so when there's a nice cool or cold front passing. He's hungry because he's been stressed out. There's been a change of conditions, in this case up to 30, 35 mile an hour winds. We had thunder and lightning. So after those conditions subside, after he's been stressed out, after he's missed feedings out in the open and preferred high-quality food sources, and after he's burned energy because the temperature's dropping and he needs to burn energy to stay warm, then that weather is going to come in, and we're going to have a great weather pattern to actually hunt, and that sets up this kind of movement right here and pushes him out in daylight instead of darkness. And that's the difference with small parcel. It doesn't matter if it's a 500-acre parcel, 100, or a 5-acre parcel. When parcels are fragmented, equals more hunters, deer keep themselves, but these weather patterns not only get them to move earlier, but move them more into daylight because they're stressed out, they're hungry, they're burning energy. There's triple whammy there to get them to move, and that's a setup for gun season. And opening day, I like being back in the brush. We talk about the backside entrance, where I'm on the backside of a bedding area waiting for that to fill up, pressure on the other side from the neighbor, and a lot of times come right into your lap. But after that opening day time, when I'm shooting my bucks in the 3rd day, 4th day, 7th day, 9th day, 15th day of gun season, 19th day, whatever it might be, it's because we're allowing these conditions to set up, and then we're not going out there in the morning and spooking those deer that we expect to come from those bedding areas and fill this food source in the evening. So try this gun season setup. Make sure you have great access in and out. You're hunting by the weather. You have those good food sources, whether you're on public or private land, and then you have good cover that feed those good food sources with deer and bedding deer during the day, and you'll enjoy these gun season setups because, folks, I can tell you, you get all those 3 conditions to happen, rarely is anyone else doing it in the neighborhood. Be the one that's different. Try this gun season setup, and you'll enjoy some incredible gun season hunting and just observing deer in general, where a lot of other folks aren't getting to enjoy that. Try it this year and beyond. Really perfect this type of setup, and you'll enjoy it for the rest of your life. I urge everyone out there to really check out my web classes. They've been wildly successful. We have one that details how you should design your land, another one that details how you should plant and maintain and manage a food plot program. How can you make those decisions that fit your land specifically and not someone else's? Unfortunately, there's so much information in the hunting industry that says you should do this, but it doesn't apply to you. These web classes directly apply to you, And then we have our third web class that came out last year, Rut Web Class, navigating the entire rut. And then we have our fourth one coming out, which is hunting hills and thermals. I urge you to check those out, try the web classes, and they're all about teaching, helping you understand how you can navigate, not only managing your property, food plots, and the rut, but also hunting strategically, hills, thermals, and wherever you pursue whitetails for your dream and your passion.